Hello everyone, this is Edray 1416 here with another conservative commentary. Today's commentary is on the Ring of Fire's video called Team Trump Wants to Dismantle Social Security Through Privatization. The subject is about Donald Trump wanting to phase out Social Security. With that being said, today's Avatar Sergeant Joe Friday from Dragnet. Let's see what Farron Cousins of the Ring of Fire has to say about this subject.
Donald Trump promised his supporters during the campaign that he is going to protect Social Security, which when you look at the demographics, a lot of Trump voters happen to be on Social Security, so he understood you had to play that card in order to win over those voters who are more interested in protecting their financial future than they are about protecting the rights of women, African Americans, or Hispanics.
First problem with this video. You seem to be more concerned about the rights of an American than the financial struggles that America is facing right now. Sure, Donald Trump might have used a cheap tactic like every other politician since 1964. But if you see the out-of-control spending going on in Washington as well as tax dollars going toward giving people free stuff rather than people paying out of their own pocket, you can see why the economy is in the gutter. This is why the national debt is climbing at an alarming rate. Understand the situation.
Nonetheless, Trump made the promise, and already, as we see him putting together his transition team, 2 of the 4 people that he has picked to be in the Social Security Administration are Social Security privatization pushers. We have Mike Corby Dorsey Hardy. My apologies if I'm pronouncing that name incorrectly. However, both of those, both Corby and Hardy, have said in the past that they would like to privatize Social Security. Corby has said that the system is corrupt and bankrupt. Hardy, on the other hand, has been working to privatize Social Security since 1995. Corby served with George W. Bush, Hardy served with Reagan, and both of them huge believers in the privatization of Social Security. And here is the problem with that. Half of the Social Security Administration leadership would be made up of people that want to privatize this system that has worked well for decades.
Social Security has worked well? If Social Security is working well, then why are senior citizens forced to go back to work when they realize that they are only making a couple of $100s a month? They can't pay their bills, they can barely put food on their table, and if they are lucky, they can only drive once or twice a week. It does not matter how much money you put into the system, you always get very little for your money. When elderly people are at a point where they cannot do physical labor and they are not getting much money a month for their Social Security retirement checks, then that proves that Social Security is indeed corrupt. I don't know what you were talking about since you have no proof to back up your point about Social Security working well. As a matter of fact, Social Security has led to the rise of the national debt as much as health care. Get your facts straight when presenting a point.
The problem is that during the George W. Bush administration, 2005, 2006, that push to privatize Social Security became stronger than ever. And when it did, remember what happened around that same time? Stock market, housing market, all the markets began their downward slide that led to the crash of 07 and 08.
No. The reason why America's recession started was because of George W. Bush issuing stimulus checks in 2008 in an effort to boost the economy. Unfortunately, those stimulus checks cost taxpayers a lot of money, forcing them to buy less goods. Because of that, people couldn't afford to invest in houses anymore in addition to buying too many things on credit. That was why investors on Wall Street panicked, signaling the Great Recession. Could you please back up your claim on the cause of the Great Recession?
Had Social Security been privatized during that time, had the Bush administration and his advisors and Republicans in Congress been successful in privatizing this program, it would have lost well over $1 trillion. It would have effectively been bankrupt.
In comparison to the trillions of dollars that have been used since its inception in 1935 thanks to Franklin Delano Roosevelt, that wouldn't be a major loss at all. And this leads to another point. The purpose of Social Security was to help elderly people supplement their income in the event that they could not afford to retire. Social Security is not supposed to be the end-all retirement program for elderly people. This is why folks need to come up with a retirement plan right away so when they get to the point where they have to retire, they can take care of themselves until the good Lord is ready to take them out of here. Mr. Cousins, Social Security is not meant to last forever. It's going to crash sooner or later. Wake up and smell the coffee.
Now, we know, based on the people that Donald Trump has appointed in his cabinet, the people he's listening to, his advisors, and the makeup of the Republican-controlled House and Senate, we know that the same people who wanted to privatize it then want to privatize it now. But more importantly, the same people who helped to crash the economy are still in power. So yes, it is very likely that we are looking at another potential market crash coming at some point during the Donald Trump administration, based on the fact that the same people who did it before are in power today. History repeats itself with these people. We've seen it time and time again. That's why they continue to push for trickle-down economics. So if they are successful, if they privatize Social Security, a program that is working just fine regardless of what Republicans tell you, it is likely that the program as we know it will cease to exist.
Why is that a bad thing? A new generation of Americans are realizing that they have to economize, live in a small and simple place, budget to the point where they cannot buy anything for just a couple of years, and learning how to be autonomous. As for the people that were brainwashed into thinking that a government program like Social Security is going to take care of them are foolish people. You can't just work and expect Social Security to pay your bills, put food on your plate, and put gas in your vehicle when you retire. This is why if you work a job, save up your money and ask a financial consultant about something called conservative investing. Figure out a way to put your money to work the moment you start saving. That's a more effective plan than Social Security because it could be gone sooner than you think. Mr. Cousins, stop clinging onto the past like many liberals do. That's the kind of mindset that will screw you over in the end.
It will lose money. We saw the markets panic the night that Donald Trump was elected. They rebounded the next day, but only because Trump said he wanted to repeal Dodd-Frank and loosen regulations on Wall Street. And what led to the crash? No regulations on Wall Street. Do you see what I'm getting at here, folks? History is repeating itself. Donald Trump is no different than any other Republican that's held office in the last 30 years. He believes the same things. He's going to attempt to do the same things. This is George W. Bush. It's Ronald Reagan, all wrapped into one. I mean, we can talk about the racism. We can talk about the misogyny. And we have to talk about those things. But we also have to talk about the fact that this man is going to destroy every single accomplishment that progressives have made for the last 30 years. And that includes protecting Social Security. That includes protecting Medicare and Medicaid and unemployment insurance.
What accomplishments? Healthcare is more costly than the military. Social Security has driven elderly people into poverty. Military spending has gone down due to Obama. And jobs? Don't get me started on jobs. Why don't you show proof of these accomplishments? Otherwise, your credibility is destroyed here.
Those programs that help keep people alive, help keep their families fed, help keep them able to go to the doctor and afford medication, it's likely they could come to an end during a Donald Trump administration. And that's not just speculation. That's what Trump wants. That's what his transition team wants. That's what Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, wants. These are plans that they do have. I want everyone to realize that. This isn't speculation. This isn't wild guessing. This is the plan that they have laid out.
Once again, why is that a bad thing? The United States government is not responsible for our health, they do not dictate what we eat, and they do not pay our bills. We, the taxpayers, should not have to pay for someone getting sick because they do not have the knowledge to take care of themselves. Many people that get sick because of what they eat, what they drink, etc. As for Medicare and Medicaid, you may have a legitimate point, but a lot of elderly people can live without medication if you convince them to change their diet and avoid the bad stuff. It's not that hard for elderly people to take care of themselves without these programs. It's time for America to stand up and be autonomous again. Mr. Cousins, do some research on how elderly people lived long lives without these government programs. You'll be surprised.
And that is what we're up against for the next 4 years.
And that's the end of the video. Overall, blatant liberal bias strikes again by saying that the destruction of Social Security is the end-all in American history. It was the liberals that created Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. The liberals were responsible for convincing people that Social Security should be taxed for the sake of the elderly. What Donald Trump is trying to do is destroy the program and stop massive spendings in Washington. If you liberals watching this commentary do not like what I said, then you are not understanding how serious things are about to get in America. Anyway, I'm Edray, and I'm out of here.